It's finally time to quilt. All right, included with your Moxie, you received a kit. It's How-To-Quilt Kit. Everything in this kit will help you get started quilting. So we're gonna go over what came in this quilt with this kit. You should have received instructions. And in here, they gave us some great ideas of how to start stitching. But before that, we received 1 yard of gridded fabric, and we've already loaded that on our frame. We received a package of Longarm quilting pins. That's what we use to pin it to our leaders. We received several spools of thread, different types of thread, so that you can decide which kind of thread you like. And then we also received a channel lock. And that's what we used to get our perfectly straight lines vertically and horizontally across our quilt. So we also have in here Superior Thread Guide, a Threadology, a Thread Therapy lesson from Bob at Superior Threads. If you want to learn all about threads, that's an awesome tool. You just can watch that and it'll help you learn what you need to know about long-arm quilting threads. So that's all we need to get started with our machine is fabric and a few threads, and we're ready to go. In your Getting Started packet, there's also little instructions on some quilting design, just perfect places to get started with your quilting. And I'm going to go over them with you here as well. The first one, it's E's and L's. And you all know how to do E's and L's. We've been doing them since we were little kids. We just are going to do cursive E's and L's. And this gridded fabric is perfect for that because it helps us learn how to space them evenly. So because they're like 2-inch grids, I'm going to do an E and an L in that space. Okay, I'm going to show you how to get started by pulling up your bobbin thread. So I'm going to hold on to the upper thread with my left hand, and I'm going to use my right hand over on this left handlebar. I'm going to go needle down and needle up. And as I move the machine away, it will pull up that bobbin thread, and I can just grab a hold of that thread. So now I'm going to hold on to the top and the bobbin thread. And then I'm going to put my thumb on that needle up down button, and I'm going to do 4 or 5 little micro stitches. I'm just going to make sure that I have a nice little lock of my thread. And I don't want it to be a knot. I don't want to see something obvious. I just want to lock that thread in place. And now I can let go of those threads, and I'm ready to start stitching. I'm going to bring my machine down here, and I'm going to do an E in the middle section, and I'm going to do an L on the marked line. E in the middle, and L on the marked line. This grid fabric is so nice. And I can do them wide, or I can do them thin. Whichever you choose. Our quilting is kind of like our handwriting. So yours won't look just like mine, and mine won't look just like yours, and it's okay. So practice your E's and L's on this grid fabric. It's a perfect way to help you learn that spacing. Our next design is called stippling. And some people refer to it as meandering. We're just going to call it stippling here. And it's just a nice filler design. It just looks like a puzzle, like your puzzle pieces. It just goes in and out. And this is a great design to help you learn how to fill space on your fabric. So when I started quilting, I did this all over my quilts. If this is what you enjoy doing, it's a perfect way to finish your quilts. So I'm just going to weave in and out, up and down. One of the things I like to think about when I'm doing a stipple is I like to have a shape or a size in mind. So I think of a circle, but I try to think of like a quarter or a nickel or a dime, and then I'm meandering around that size. And that helps me keep consistent from the top to the bottom of either my quilting space or my whole quilt. So think of that. And then another tip is to kind of, if you fill on a diagonal, it helps to fill that space, and it keeps it from not looking really linear. So one of the things that we like to talk about when we're teaching quilting is to learn a design and stitch that design until you learn it really well, and then add something new. So once you've practiced the stippling design and you're pretty confident with your stipple, here's my challenge. Try something new. Add a star or a heart or something like that in with your stipple. So I'm going to show you how that works. One thing to think about when you're trying to stitch a star is that if I want to have a nice point on the end of my star, I need to make sure that I pause my hands so that I can have a point. If I just run it around that point, it makes it kind of like a curve instead of a point. So here we go, we're going to try a star. Okay, I'm going to go up to that point, pause my hands, down and pause, left pause, right pause, and then finish up that star. And then I can go back into a stipple. Another star, pause, pause. Make sure you pause and get those points. Once you're confident with the star, that's where we're going to try and add a heart. And I go down to the center of the hearts and around the left side and up around the right side. There is, of course, more than one way to stitch a heart, but you can change the direction and just keep stitching. So give that a go. I think you're going to have fun driving this machine. The last quilting design we're going to go over is called the continuous line curve, and it's drawn out on a diagram for you, and I'm just going to show you briefly how to stitch it out. It's just a nice curve. You just have to think of the shape of an arc in your mind. So I'm going to we're going to get started. I'm going to put my needle down in the first corner and bring up my bobbin thread. And then I'm going to stitch an arc to the next point on my grid. So it really is helpful if I am looking at the point that I'm headed to. So I'm going to start stitching at 10 stitches per inch. I'm going to keep my eye on point B. I'm going to do an arc all the way across. We're just going to go across 4. And then I'm going to come down that right side with an arc. And then I'm going to go back across towards the left. I'm going to stop here. And what I need to make sure that I'm doing is filling in the vertical grid. So from this point, I'm going to go straight up and then back down. Now I'm going to go back across to the left, straight up to fill in that vertical grid, and back down, across to the left, up, down, across to the left. And now what I'm going to do is stitch just an arc all the way across the top like I did on the first row. And I'm looking at the point that I'm headed to. Back down, across. We'll do just a couple more. And if you're watching that point that you're headed to, it's okay if it's not perfect. It gives you a nice, fun grid. So once you've learned this pathway, you can do all kinds of designs. So you just have to learn how to go across and fill in those vertical spots as you go back across so that you don't leave those spots open. And this pathway is going to come in handy to you for years and years to come.